Salut tout le monde! Je suis Mitak. What's up, everybody? I'm Mitak. Welcome back to the channel. I'm learning French right now. That is a thing that I'm doing, and I like to play video games, so I thought I'd try to combine those two things. And so, aujourd'hui, nous commençons une nouvelle série, Let's Play Français. Today we're going to start up a new series called Let's Play Français, where we struggle through a game together in French. And that game today will be Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney. So currently I'm at an A1 level in French, which is just the very, very beginning. So I have a rudimentary understanding of grammar, a very limited vocabulary. So I'm gonna try my best, and hopefully I can understand the gist of what's going on in this game. Not getting stuck too much on very specific grammar or vocabulary stuff. Just know that whatever I translate is probably gonna be wrong, and my pronunciation is probably gonna be pretty bad too. But like I said, I'm gonna try my best and try to get through this. I have played through this first chapter of Phoenix Wright. Let's actually get in there. Nouvelle partie. So nouvelle is new, and partie is the word they use for a game. So we would translate as new game. Here we go. But let's start at the very beginning, and we're going to jouer au jeu. So that's play the game. Let's go. Episode 1, la première volte-face. Episode 1, the first, in English, they translate this as turnabout. So the first turnabout. Jouer à la première volte-face. Play the first turnabout. Oui. All right. And then if anything kind of goes automatically, I know this first part goes by itself. I probably can't translate fast enough, but let me see if I can get the gist of it. Bon sang, pourquoi moi? He says, good grief, why me? Je ne peux pas me faire prendre. So in the beginning, he's like, oh man, why me? And then he said something that I didn't catch. He said, then he said, I have to do something. He obviously is trying to blame it on somebody. So he's like, I have to find someone to take the fall or something. And then he says, someone like him. And he sees this guy outside the apartment. But anyway, 3 août, 3rd of August. Oh shoot, I'm kind of bad at numbers, guys. This is 9h47, 9 a.m., 9:47 a.m., Tribunal Fédéral, Salle de Accusé. I think this is numéro. I'm not sure what word you use here for number. Deux. So we're in this the room of the accused in the federal tribunal. Here we go. Phew! I think this this first sound is the phew sound. Anyway, he says, qu'est-ce que je peux être nerveux? Qu'est-ce que usually means there's a question at the it usually means this is a question. So, but there's an exclamation point at the end. I don't know. I think it's still a question. But let me see. What is it? Je peux, I can être, be. Nerveux is nervous. What? Maybe it's saying, what could it be making me so nervous? What is it that's making me nervous? Or, I mean, in all likelihood, he's probably saying, why am I so nervous? Wright. So this is Mia, his boss. Oh, bonjour, patron. So patron is like boss, I think. A lot of the times when I see this in other books and stuff, I think you can also use the word chef, which means kind of like boss too. Ouf. Je suis bien contente d'être arrivée à temps. She says, I am very content. I think bien is used as like très kind of. Or she says like, I'm so content that you arrived on time or something like that, or that we made it on time. Alors, ça y est, on y est. Ton premier procès. She says, so I'm not sure what this Y does a lot of the time, but ça y would be like c'est. You would put them together as c'est, which is it is, and then on y would be like we are, I think. So it's like this is or we are, and then this part, ton premier procès. So procès is the word that they use for like a trial, I think, and premier is first. We saw earlier in the title, it's they said première, which is the feminine version of premier, but ton is then the second person possessive, so it's like your first trial, something about that. Je ne m'étais jamais senti aussi nerveux depuis le lycée et non faux procès. Well, été in the verb here comes from être, I think. I haven't learned any other tenses other than present tense, but I've seen this a lot. I think this is the past tense, and then it's negating here. So été was, and then ne jamais, it's like I never was, I think. Senti is like to feel, aussi, never. He says something like, I've never felt this nervous, and then he says since, depuis le lycée, since high school, and no faux procès, which is our fake trial, which in English we would say mock trial. So they did some kind of mock trial in high school, and he's never been nervous since then. Ah bien, il est grand temps de te replonger dans le monde merveilleux de la justice. Il est grand temps, so usually this grand, you can see, it can also mean like big and tall, but here it means like great. I think if it comes before the noun, it usually means like great. Like if you said like grand ami, you might think of it as like big friend, but it's like a great friend, a good friend. So it's like it's she says il est grand temps, it's a good time de te replonger. So plonger I think means to like plunge into something, to get into something. And so if you put the suffix re in the front of it, I think it means to plunge into, so like get back into something. And then she says get back into dans le monde merveilleux de la justice, so into the marvelous, which is merveilleux, marvelous world of justice, something like that. Oui, vous devez avoir raison. So this avoir raison, literally it means avoir is to have, and raison is reason. It's literally means to have reason, but a lot of times you can just translate it as you're right. He says vous devez, I think devez is like must, you must. Vous devez avoir raison, so he says something like you must be right, I think. Vous avez patron, you know boss, boss. Je suis désolé que vous ayez dû venir jusqu'ici aujourd'hui à cause de moi. So he says, I'm sorry that's the first part. Vous ayez, I'm not sure what ayez is, but the rest of it is dû I think comes from I forget what the verb is, but I think it comes from whatever the verb is to owe, I think, or it usually means, I think, you have to do something, or I owe somebody, so I have to do it. I'm gonna translate it as like had to, because I think the you, the conjugation with the you often is a past tense as well. So, and then venir is to come. Jusqu'ici, here, like up to here. Aujourd'hui, today, à cause de moi. So à cause de is like because of, or yeah, because of, and then moi is me. So he says something like, you had to come here for me or because of me, and he says I'm sorry because she had to do that. Mais pas du tout, Phoenix. So here the do, I think, is the same. So I'm gonna guess it's like to owe something, or and then to here is like all. So she says either I didn't have to, or she's saying something like you don't owe me anything. I think one of those, my guess. And then she says, je ne manquerai tes débuts pour rien au monde. So again, I don't know this AIS tense for manquerai. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. But I think it is a past tense. And manquerai, it comes from the verb to be missing or to be lacking something. So she says, je ne manquerai. Usually there'd be like a pas, I think, but that must be some kind of grammar, I don't know. But I think she's saying I wouldn't miss tes débuts, your debut, pour rien au monde. So rien is like means nothing. So if you say like merci and then someone says de rien, this is the rien, and the you're welcome is like de rien, it's nothing, you're welcome. But this rien on its own just means nothing. So she says pour rien au monde, for nothing in the world or something. So she wouldn't miss it for the world. N'empêche, I'm not sure what n'empêche is, but then the rest of it is je suis impressionné. I'm impressed, I think. Beaucoup n'auraient pas accepté un procès pour meurtre aussi rapidement. Beaucoup is a lot. But this aurait, again, I think this is a conjugation that I don't know, but I think it comes from, maybe it's from avoir, maybe, I'm guessing. Anyway, it negates that. The pas negates that. She says accepter un procès, which is like accept a trial pour meurtre, for murder. Aussi rapidement, I think it means like so soon or so quickly. So she says something like most people wouldn't accept a murder case so quickly because it's his first trial. Why would you accept a murder trial? Maybe choose something easier, I guess. Ça en dit long sur toi et sur ton client également. So ça en dit long sur toi. So sur toi is about you, and then the first part is it says a lot about you, or it says a lot about you. I know long here can literally mean long, but in English we would say it says a lot about you. And then et sur ton client, so and about ton client. Ton is again the possessive second person, so your client equally, just as much. Merci. En fait, wait, I'm not sure if you say the T here, but I think I'm gonna say the T. Usually the T's are silent, but I'm gonna say the T because I think this is en fait. I think I've heard that before, but in fact, c'est parce que je lui dois un service. It's because, so then doit is the verb here, and it means, this one means to owe, I'm pretty sure. But je is the subject, so je dois, I owe, and then the direct object of the verb is lui, which is him. I owe him un service, which I think is a favor. Yeah, a favor sounds good. Un service, a favor, or maybe we'd say no. I was gonna say maybe they're saying pro bono, but it doesn't sound so technical there. Tu veux dire que tu connaissais l'accusé avant cette affaire? So I used to get confused with this veut dire. She says tu veux dire, which literally means you want to say que, that. You want to say that. So I used to think, I was always like, what are they saying when they say you want to say that? Which you translate this veut dire as it means instead. So like if you wanted to know what a word meant, like let's say you don't know what connaissez means, you could say qu'est-ce que ça veut dire connaissez? What does connaissez mean? But literally it goes it translates as what does connaissez want to say? So she's saying you mean that tu connaissais, you knew l'accusé, the accused, avant cette affaire, before this trial, before this affair. Oui, yes. En fait, c'est un peu grâce à lui si je fais ce métier. So he says, it's a bit, grâce à is like thanks to, right? He says, grâce à lui, thanks to him, si je fais ce métier, I do this métier, which is job. It's thanks to him that I do this job. Il est l'une des raisons qui m'ont poussé à devenir avocat. Il est l'une des raisons qui, he says, he's one of the reasons. Pousser, I think, means to push. And then devenir means to become something. And then he says to become avocat, which is lawyer or avocado. So I don't know. Did he become a lawyer? Avocado, you tell me. But that's the client is one of the reasons he pushed himself to become an avocado. Ah bien, ça c'est une nouvelle. So this nouvelle is in the feminine form, and I'm sure it's always in the feminine form as a noun, probably, but if you took this nouvelle and put it in its masculine form as an adjective, it would be nouveau, new. So in its noun form, I think you can translate it as like news, as like, oh, breaking news, this nouvelle. So she says, that's news. Or, we'd probably say, that's news to me. Je veux le sortir de là, par tous les moyens. So, he says, I want, sortir is to like leave, but I think it has like a direct object before it. I think the le. I think it's saying I want to get him out of là, out of there. Par tous les moyens, by all means. So tout is all, and les moyens is ways. So by all ways, by all means. I used to get confused by this OY combination for pronouncing words, but I think now what it is it's like a combination of OI and a Y. So the OI sound makes the wa sound, right? So you would say moi. But then if it's inside of a Y, you would say the Y after that. So you go wa and then yeah after that. So moyenne. So there's a wa sound and a Y sound in there. I think that's how the OY combination works. Did I not translate that? I forget if I translated it. He says, je veux juste. So juste here is like just. He says, I just want. I want vraiment really l'aider, to help him. I really want to help him. Je lui dois. This is the same construction we had earlier. So I owe him énormément. I owe him enormously. I owe him so much. Tout est fini. It's all over. Ma vie, my life. Tout, everything. Tout est fini. It's all over. Ce ne serait pas ton client qu'on entend hurler. So, this entend means to hear something, and then hurler is, I think it's to shout or to scream. So she says, wasn't that your client we hear screaming? Oui, c'est bien lui. Yeah, that's definitely him. Absence, désespoir. So absence is the same word in English, and then désespoir, I'm guessing, is despair. Je vais le faire. This vais comes from aller, which means to go. So the first bit there, je vais, literally means to go, but I think this vais is connected with faire, which means to do. So when you have aller first and then a verb after that, it's putting it in some kind of future tense. So it's like, I'm going to blah, blah, blah. I mean, we do this in English too. We literally say, I'm going to do, and that's what she's saying here, or that's what he's saying. Je vais le faire. I'm going to do, and then le is the object of faire. So I'm going to do it. Je vais mourir. And then you see again that he puts it in the future tense with vais. Je vais mourir. I'm going to die. Right? Is that kill or die? I think mourir is die. On dirait qu'il souhaite mourir. So this souhaite, I think, functions very similar to veut, vouloir, to want. This displays some sort of desire to do something, right? She says, on dirait que he said that he wants to die. Oui, soupir. So this soupir is the sound that they make to sigh. So he's like, ugh. Nick. Oh, yeah, they call him Phoenix Nick because that's the end of his name. Salut, Paul. So this is Paul. Mec, je suis si coupable. Mec is a slang for which is man. So I would probably translate as like dude, or I guess man would work too, but I'm gonna say dude, because he looks like that kind of guy. Je suis si coupable. I'm not sure what the C is doing here, but he says I'm guilty. Yeah. And then he says, dis-leur, tell them that je suis coupable, that I'm guilty. Condamnez-moi à la peine de mort. So condemn me, moi is me, à la peine, peine de mort. So I think it says pain of death. So he's saying something like, condemn me to the death penalty. And then he says, j'ai pas peur de mourir. So this a comes from avoir, or this it comes from avoir. And so if you say avoir peur, peur is fear. It's to have fear. So you can translate as I'm to be afraid. And then this pas is negating it. J'ai pas peur. I'm not afraid de mourir. To die, or of death, maybe. I think it's to die. I'm not afraid to die. Quoi? What? Qu'est-ce qui ne va pas, Paul? So I think this va, literally it means to go, right? It comes from the aller. It's the same as like ve, I think. But right, it literally means to go, but I think it's like when you say like ça va is like how are you doing? So it's like he says va pas, what's not going. So I think he's saying like what's wrong, right? It's like the opposite of I'm doing good. Ne va pas, maybe it means like I'm not doing so good. So he says what's the problem, something like that. But c'est fini. It's over. Je suis fini. I'm done, or I'm finished. fini, over, done, something. Je peux pas vivre sans elle. Je peux pas, so peut is to be able to do something, I can do something. And then the pas negates that. Je peux pas vivre, I can't live. Sans elle, without her. Je peux pas, I can't. Qui me l'a prise? Nick? I'm not sure what prise is. I think it might come from prendre, which is to take. So I think he's saying like, who took her from me? I think maybe. And then he says, qui a bien pu faire ça? So this pu comes from peu. I think it's just the past tense again. So he says, who could do that? Or who could do this? Either one, I think. Allez, come on, Nick. Tu dois. He says, you owe me? Le dire. Me le dire. I think he says to tell it to me. He says something like, you have to tell me. Qui m'a pris ma copine? So this pris, I think, is from the same, we saw it as prise earlier, so I think it comes from prendre, which is to take. Who took my girlfriend? Ma copine. La personne responsable de la mort de ta petite amie. He says, the person responsible for la mort, the death of ta petite amie. So he says petite amie here, which means girlfriend, and earlier we saw copine, which are, so they're the same, copine or petite amie, girlfriend. And then the ta here is the second person possessive, so your girlfriend. So the person responsible for the death of your girlfriend. D'après les journaux, maybe recently, les journaux, which is the newspapers, c'est toi, it was you. So I guess he's been in the newspaper, the client. And then here Phoenix is doing a monologue. He says, mon nom est Phoenix Wright. My name is Phoenix Wright. Voici les faits. I think these are the facts. Ma première affaire, my first trial is a on ne peut plus simple. I think it means can't be more simple. Yeah, maybe. There's the lady. Une jeune femme, a young woman, a été tuée, was killed. So tuée is killed. Dans son appartement, in her apartment. Le malheureux, the bad guy, qui a été arrêté, était son petit ami. Sorry, that was weird. And there was too many étés in there. Is that right? Does that sound right? Été arrêté, été. So le malheureux, the bad guy, the culprit, who. So then there's like 3 verbs in here, I think. So été is past form of être, was, I think. And then this arrêté, arrested, I'm guessing. So the person who was arrested, était, which is, I'm guessing, another past form of être, was. So the person, the culprit who was arrested was son petit ami, her boyfriend. So you see that earlier we had petite amie, and each of the words, petite had an E at the end and ami had an E at the end, but now we have the masculine form, petite amie. It sounds the same, but the masculine form is missing those E's at the end. So really, you couldn't tell if someone was just speaking to you. You can't tell if they're saying petite amie. They'll always say petite amie, but you can't tell if it's a boyfriend or girlfriend without having context or having it spelled out for you. Her boyfriend is Paul de Fes. I know that in all of the Phoenix Wright games, they use puns and jokes to name all the characters. So like in Japanese, I know that Phoenix Wright's last name is Naruhodo, which in Japanese it's a phrase that means like, oh, I knew that, or exactly as I thought, or something like that. So they make a ton of jokes with his name like that. Like someone will just be like, Naruhodo, and he'll be like, are you talking about me? But they're just saying Naruhodo, like, in general. But I can't figure out, I haven't really looked at how this name is formed. I don't know what kind of joke it's making here. But I know in English, this guy's name is Larry Butts. So that's just like a butt joke, I guess. Maybe it means like he's the butt of all jokes or whatever. But he says, Paul Defes, mon meilleur ami depuis l'école primaire. So mon meilleur ami, my best friend, depuis, since l'école primaire, since elementary school. À l'école, at school, on avait un dicton. We had a saying, I think. Quand, which is when. Quand Paul Defes arrive, when Paul Defes arrives, or when he's there. Tu pars à la dérive. I think it's like everything is. What's dérive? Let's look up dérive real quick. Oops. So I have a handy online dictionary with me. We're using wordreference.com. Let's see if we can get the meaning if we look up dérive. Okay, drift, slide, drift, downward slide. I'm gonna go with maybe this downward spiral kind of deal. This sounds like it fits. So maybe it's something like whenever Paul is here, everything kind of heads downhill, something like that. Depuis 23 ans que je le connais, so after knowing him for 23 years, ça s'est souvent confirmé. I think it's usually confirmed, so that's usually, he knows that it's usually true. Il a le chic pour se mettre dans les pétrons. I don't know a lot of words in there. Let's look at pétron. So pétron, dough trough, no. A kneading machine, no. Be in a fix. Okay, here we have the dans les pétrons, être dans les pétrons. So to be in a fix, to be in a mess. We'll go with that. I'm not sure. Maybe it's saying he gets into a lot of trouble. He he tends to be in a fix or something like that. That's enough. I think that's the gist of it. Mais je peux dire une chose. But I can say one thing. En general, ce n'est pas de sa faute. It's not his. In general, it's not his fault. Ce gars, I think this gars is a shortened form of garçon. So he's saying like this guy, à la guigne, just has bad luck. Mais je sais mieux que quiconque qu'au fond, c'est un bon gars. Ooh, that center line I'm getting stuck on. I don't know what quiconque is. The beginning half it says, but I know maybe better than, I guess it's I know better than anyone, something like that. I know better than anyone. C'est un bon gars. He's a good guy. Et puis je lui suis redevable. I'm going to skip that one because I don't want to look up redevable. But alors j'ai accepté l'affaire. So I took the case. Pour le laver, c'est tout soupçon. I'm guessing laver is to wash, I think. Like, I think that verb is very similar in Spanish. To wash, laver. De tout soupçon, so soupçon is suspicion. He says, in order to wash away all suspicion, I think. Et c'est exactement ce que je vais faire. And we see that vais construction again. Vais faire, I'm going to do. He says, that's exactly what I'm going to do. All right, guys, I think this is a good spot to stop. So let me do a quick sauvegarde. Options, we're gonna do sauvegarder, which is if you play a lot of video games, this is the game they use the word they use for saving. Sauvegarder is to save, and then charger is to load. So let's save again. I'm gonna save it here. All right, so let's do a quick recap. So Phoenix Wright is having his first trial, his first procès. It's for le meurtre, for murder, and weird. He's defending Paul Defes, his best friend. All right, and then thank you guys for joining me. Thank you again for watching. I hope you join me again for another episode of Let's Play Français. So until then, à bientôt. See you next time. Salut.